We've got the theory just there that LBJ was involved. What was his motive for involvement? And is there any proof whatsoever? Well, I saw something from Alex Jones. He featured a guest that claimed to have some proof, never before heard audio, of a conversation between close associates of LBJ. Listen to this.
Well, Saul, it's been a pretty touch and go situation. Linda and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through it this far. I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike, but we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he'd ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget.
So this is explosive, but in today's world, is that real? Is it AI? What you heard was audio of Clifton Carter, the former executive director of the Democratic National Committee. He was a close associate with LBJ. He's talking to a man named Billy Sol Estes. You hear Carter claiming that LBJ hired another guy, Malcolm Mac Wallace, okay, to kill Kennedy. The audio sounds convincing. I didn't want to take anybody's word for it. I heard that with Alex Jones, and I thought, if that's true, that's crazy. We have been working with the owner of the tape. He's here with us to examine all of it. And we wanted to actually hear the whole tape and see it, not a digital copy, the actual tape. He's going to play that for us here in just a minute. I am convinced, as much as I can be, that this is an authentic recording. Here is part of the statement that we got from Dory Wiley, historian and JFK assassination expert. I've known about these tapes for years. I believe them to be genuine. The voices sound like Billy Sol Estes and Cliff Carter from the sources that I have heard. It's important to point out this expert had only listened to the digital files. Nobody has heard the actual tape until now. Joining me now is Shane Stevens. He is the grandson of Billy Sol Estes, one of the voices you hear on the tape, who made the recording. Shane is now the owner of the tapes, and he's going to play them here live for the very first time. Good to see you, Shane. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Why are you so convinced that these are true, and why has it taken you so long to bring them out?
Great questions, and you know, I've heard, just like you heard Roger Stone saying and Dory Wiley saying.
Yeah.
My granddad, he tried to release the truth in 1984, and frankly, he was potentially going to release the truth earlier, all the way back to the 60s. But based on threats to his life, and he actually did have an assassination attempt in 1962, I believe. The other two people that were indicted with him, both of them died very mysteriously. So he was concerned about releasing them. He was really just holding them as I think they call it a dead man's drop. So that way, if something ever happens to him, right, these are going to come out.
When did you become aware of them? How old were you?
You know, I was born in 1976.
Yeah.
And it was probably maybe 1986, maybe I was 10, 12, 13, somewhere in there, that we started hearing these family stories. And it wasn't long after my granddad got out of prison, we started learning a lot more about our family history that we previously did not know.
Why was Granddad in prison?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So as the kind of story progressed, we started hearing all these things. And I remember seeing the JFK assassination video and going, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I grew up in West Texas. We shoot that. Right. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then I find out my granddad supposedly knew who killed him. We're like, that's not real.
Right.
You know, you grew up not believing it.
Right,
and I heard that he took the fall for LBJ and was in the midst of all of that scandal, and you don't know what to believe. But then it was, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, all of a sudden my Uncle Daryl starts to get dementia. And so he passed these along to his daughter, Star, my cousin. And they ended up coming to me for safekeeping because I had a safe room in my house and a safe inside of there. And they're like, you keep them in there.
I have to tell you, I mean, we wanted to see the actual tape to verify that you had tapes from that time, et cetera. And you pulled them out, and they're in a little baggie. Do you happen to have that?
I do.
Pull them out in a little baggie. You terrify me with this.
They're very old.
Yeah. So he comes to the studio, and you've only been presenting the digital form.
Right.
And you came to the studio with this little... Please take them out of the little baggie and let us help you preserve them, because this is game-changing. And I want to play it directly from the cassette, so everybody knows what you heard before is it. You want to play?
We will. All right, so we've got it rewound, and I hope it does not fall apart, but here we go.
Lyndon and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through this far, and I guess we'll continue to do so.
Okay, so we've heard the rest of it. What I heard immediately after this was your grandfather had a vendetta against LBJ, and everybody had a vendetta, and this was just two guys cooking something up, I guess, for future generations to come out with it. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not a psychologist, but it doesn't make sense. If you're trying to avoid getting killed by somebody, you don't record things that you would be lying about to prevent them from killing you.
Right.
It seems like the opposite.
So tell people, why was your grandfather in prison?
So it was a few different things, and that's a much more complex story, and I've learned so much about that,
right,
which is just fascinating in itself. But at that time, politically, there was a huge rift between the Kennedys and Lyndon. And that anybody that knows that time and that era knows that the Kennedys were trying to get Johnson off of the ticket. They wanted him out of there. Well, they were going after Billy Saul Estes, my granddad,
right,
because him and Bobby Baker were both involved in scandals.
Okay, so I'm going to pick this up in just a second. If you're happen to be watching on linear, we're going to have to take a break. We'll see you tomorrow. But make sure you watch this on BlazeTV, so we also have the stuff with the gun and more with you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.